Welcome to Wicked Darkness, Johnny's survival guide to the end times. This is a full audio reading of the book released in episodes. I made this free so it's easy to follow and so you don't get distracted from the message. Enjoy.
Wicked Darkness, Johnny's survival guide to the end times. Chapter 12 Part 1. America, the little horn with the loud mouth. There came up among them another little horn, before whom 3 of the first horns were plucked up by the roots. Daniel 7:8. Warning. This chapter isn't optional. It's the chapter I wasn't sure I wanted to write, but had to. I felt that if I didn't, I'd be hiding what God has revealed to me in His scriptures. It won't be well received by many of my fellow Americans, but this should be a very clear wake-up call for all who believe. The little horn you love. If you still think America is some harmless Christian nation, just trying to do the right thing, this chapter is going to hurt, and it should. Let's stop pretending the global superpower that drops bombs in the name of peace, exports sin like it's a business model, and mocks God in its entertainment, somehow gets a pass because it sings God Bless America before kickoff. America isn't some sideshow. It's the empire. It's not Sweden. It's not the EU. It's not Germany staging a comeback. It's the most powerful, most worshipped, most influential beast system in human history. And it's already speaking great things, with a very loud mouth. This isn't about hating where you live. It's about recognizing where you live in the timeline. The zoo's comfortable. The cage is high-tech, but it's still Babylon. This chapter wasn't written lightly. It was written because the deception is so complete. Even believers are still trying to build kingdoms inside a system that's scheduled to burn. And look, let's just be honest for a second. If you were Satan, and planning to control the entire world, would you pick Costa Rica, Somalia, Guatemala? No, you'd be setting up shop right where the money is, where the influence is, where the military can enforce it, where the tech can track it, where the media can sell it, and the people are already worshipping themselves. You'd pick the place with the stage, the satellites, and the audience. You'd pick the place that can fund, distribute, promote, and enforce the beast system, without even breaking a sweat. And if you think Satan isn't smart enough to figure that out, give me a break. God gave the Jews the Passover so they'd remember they came out of Egypt. But when they should have recognized their lamb, they missed him. Don't do the same thing. The devil is your adversary. He's hunting. He's hungry. Don't be easy prey, just because you like living in your cage and being fed. The little horn is speaking, and this time, it's your own country. The red, white, and blue pill. Come out of her, my people. Revelation 18:4. Let's just say it. This one's a hard pill to swallow. Let's call it what it is. The red, white, and blue pill. Because when you live in America, the last thing you want to hear is that the place that gave you your freedom, your opportunities, your fast food convenience, and your flat screen escape from reality might actually be the final staging ground for the Antichrist. I didn't want to write this chapter, not because I doubted the prophecy. Daniel 7 makes it clear. Not because I couldn't connect the dots. Revelation closes the loop. I didn't want to write it, because I live here. Look, America's been good to me. I have the creature comforts most people enjoy here. I'm not digging through dumpsters, in a third world country, living on the streets, or hiding from airstrikes. I live better than most emperors in history, and nobody's trying to poison or stab me, to take my throne or my home. So yeah. When I hear the angel's voice say, "Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues." Revelation 18:4. That's a hard command to digest. That's not written for people in slums. That's written for us, the ones inside the palace, scrolling reels, planning vacations, and ignoring what God is speaking from heaven. It's the same pressure that made millions obey Babylon in 2020. Not because they were evil, but because they didn't want to lose their lifestyle. The beast doesn't need to show up with fangs. He just needs to offer comfort. With a catch? Here's the truth. It's going to be harder to say no when everything you love is still working, and you're told, if you don't bow, you're losing everything. So don't confuse this chapter as anti-American. This is pro-truth. And Jesus didn't say, hide what I showed you. He said, to whom much is given, much is required. Luke 12:48. And to him who has, more will be given, but to him who has not, even what he has will be taken away. Matthew 25:29. So here we go. Not because I want to, but because I have to. It's required writing, and required reading, if you really want to know the truth. Earlier in the book, we unpacked Daniel chapter 2, and I showed you that we are living in the final kingdom, the 10 toes of the iron mingled with clay, a kingdom that is partly strong, and partly broken, and that is the final kingdom, when the Son of God shows up, and destroys it all. It's a surefire way to know that the Bible is true. Well, Daniel was given his own vision and dream, that he shared with us in Daniel chapter 7. This wasn't the king's dream of the towering idol made of various metals. This was God giving the prophet more details on what was coming with those kingdoms. Let's pick it up and I'll show you how this plays out. Let me explain this though, before we begin. Theologically sound. Yes. Guardrail. With one important. What I'm going to be doing in this chapter is interpreting scripture with scripture, not twisting metaphors or inventing symbols. This is Daniel 2, Daniel 7, and Revelation 13 and 17, all layered together with consistency and clarity. Here's my guardrail for readers. These aren't wild guesses. They're not new revelations. This is the plain reading of scripture. When you line up Daniel, Revelation, and actual history, the horns in these prophecies represent rulers, but not just individuals. Rulers are the expression of something bigger, powers, systems, empires. The little horn is the final ruler, the Antichrist, but he's ruling the same terrible beast Rome has always been, only it's now digitized, globalized, and worshipped. So when I show you what you're about to see, understand something up front. Most generations couldn't see this, and for good reason. Not because they were blind, but because the prophecy hadn't fully unfolded yet. Here's one example. They don't even teach in elementary school anymore, but you'll see why it matters in this chapter. On February 2, 1848, America signed the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, ending the war with Mexico. By its terms, Mexico ceded 55% of its territory, including what is now California, Nevada, Utah, New Mexico, most of Arizona and Colorado, and parts of Oklahoma, Kansas, and Wyoming. That happened just 177 years ago. And this isn't trivia. I live in New Mexico now, and I spent 27 years in Colorado. The point is, the prophecy in this chapter wasn't fully complete until 1848, which means many earlier Bible scholars simply couldn't grasp what Daniel saw. They were still waiting for the final pieces to emerge. But here's the problem. Instead of watching for those pieces, most just rehashed the work of others who lived before the invention of the automobile, the airplane, or the internet. They were sincere, but blind to a future they couldn't imagine, and we're now living in. That should wake you up. So let's dive in and pay close attention to what God showed Daniel about the final empire, the one the Antichrist comes out of and rules. I'd say that's a pretty important data point if you want to survive the wicked darkness rising in the end times.
Hey, thanks for listening. You've just heard an episode of Wicked Darkness, Johnny's survival guide to the end times. If you want to read along or dive deeper, go to wickeddarkness.com. It's also available on Kindle and in paperback on Amazon. If this helped you, share it with someone who needs it, someone who's stressed, questioning things, or sensing that something in the world just isn't right, someone who can feel that something is off. Have them listen. Subscribe to follow the full series. It's free. People keep waiting for the wicked one to arrive. What they don't understand is this: he's already here. If you want to know what I do when I'm not turning the book I wrote, Wicked Darkness, Johnny's Survival Guide to the End Times, into an AI podcast for YouTube, Rumble, and probably TikTok, check out the websites I built at coolcarguy.com and freaksites.com. Freaksites is a network of websites like Travelers Freak, Cars Freak, Housing Freak, Weapons Freak, and Runner Freak. I use them myself to create listings that work like mini stories around topics people already care about: cars, travel, housing, running, weapons culture, and a lot more. Most content online disappears into feeds. I built these sites around the idea that stories don't have to. Anyway, if you're curious, check them out. You'll figure it out pretty quickly. And if this episode was worth your time, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with somebody else.